The review for Gary Clark Jr.'s This Land, coming now. Hey everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. Today I have a really cool review for an album called This Land by a performer named Gary Clark Jr. Now, I discovered Gary Clark Jr. when he recently performed on Saturday Night Live. I sometimes just skip the musical acts, but immediately his personal style grabbed me. It made me say, let's see what this guy has up his sleeve. And let me tell you, I was blown away by his performance, both of them. And I was like, okay, when this guy's album comes out, I'm definitely buying it. And it came out in February, so it took me a little bit to get this review out, but finally it's here. Now, of course, This Land is his third album release. And he's well known in the blues circuit, but also has a way of mixing in some southern rock, some reggae, and lots of different musical elements into his music. One thing that really impressed me with this album was that Gary Clark Jr. wrote all of the songs, played all of the instruments on a few of the tracks, and co-produced the majority of the tracks. So he is just all over this thing, and I really dig his style. And honestly, you guys know me, one-man armies obviously are right up my alley, since it reminds me a lot of Prince. So This Land debuted at number 6 on the Billboard Top 200 in the US, but only at 97 in the UK. But honestly, that makes sense because it's a genuine Black American experience that you get on this album. And I think that that's why I like this album so much, but I don't want to give too much away. Let's go ahead and jump right into those tracks, and then you can listen for yourself.
Tell me, nigga run, go back where you come from. Nigga run, go back where you come from. We don't want your kind, we think you's a dog.
So I definitely dig the starting track. It is pretty much the explanation of what it's like to be a black person in America today. We've been hearing a lot of stories about how black people are having the police called on them for any number of different reasons. You know, like eating or buying things. And there's a history of people of color being told to go back where they come from. This song is a declaration saying, this is where I'm from, this is my land. This land is my country. Musically, it hits all the right notes, it evokes emotion, and Gary Clark Jr.'s guitar playing on this track really sets the tone for the rest of the album.
There goes the neighborhood one way or another. You can call it what you want, but the young blood's taking over. Don't get too comfortable, just plan on moving over.
So when I was first listening to What About Us, I kind of started thinking to myself, it sounds like it's the same thing over and over again. And then I got it. That's the point of the song. The song is from the perspective of this generation as it's being phased out by the next generation. And it does it over and over again in the song. But with each new verse, it layers on something new, a new instrument in the background, a different riff. And while it continues to be the same song, it's definitely a different version of that song at the end than it was when it began. So I really love the sentiment and the execution of this track.
I got my eyes on you, no turning back. Locked and loaded, I'm gonna lay you down.
So we're continuing with a really good stretch of songs here as we go into I Got My Eyes on You, Locked and Loaded. Now the subtitle of Locked and Loaded is where you're able to take the themes and the words being said in the song to a different level. It adds a subtext. When you're listening to it, you could just take it as kind of a profession of love and, hey, I see you and I want you. Or if you look at it through the lens of the Trayvon Martin shooting, it becomes a completely different kind of predatory song from the point of view of someone who's looking to murder somebody who looks different than them. Musically, it's amazing, and I really dig the harmonizing during the chorus. It builds really nicely and then fades away. Really great track. And on I Walk Alone, we're greeted by Gary Clark Jr.'s Falsetto. Now, I'm not going to say that this is my all-time favorite falsetto from any performer, but I do think that it fits his musical stylings. It's kind of down and dirty, and it gets the job done, though it's not perfect. This song to me speaks to what it might feel like to be a recovering addict of some sort. Unless there's some sort of underlying metaphor that I'm just missing here. Musically, it's on par with what we have so far, and the addition of the falsetto is really trying to show Gary Clark Jr. stretch his legs here. Nothing but good tracks so far.
But I got eyes for you, baby, don't see no one else. The way you move, when you move, I can't help myself. Come on over here, put it on me one more time. The way you shake it, make me feel alright. You got me feeling like $1,000,000, make me wanna fall in love, baby, when you put it on me.
So Feelin' Like $1,000,000 actually adds a really cool reggae feel to the album. And it mixes well with the southern rock, which I wouldn't necessarily guess that right off the bat. This song is about going to the strip club, essentially, but it actually says it without saying it. The first verse is from the point of view of the person going to the strip club, where the second verse is from the point of view of one of the dancers. Wonderful track, though. On Gotta Get Into Something, Gary Clark Jr. puts away his blues and is somehow taken over by the spirit of punk. The song is about going out into the city and causing a ruckus. You gotta get into something, you don't know if that's violence or if it's sex or what, but you just can't sleep. The night is calling you. Some may find the shift from southern rock to reggae to punk to be a little off-putting. For me, right up my alley. So Got to Get Up is a pretty simplistic track. It seemed more like an excuse for Gary Clark Jr. to have a little bit of kind of a guitar solo track. But it's got some great horns and actually a pretty heavy hidden message. Following the theme of the rest of the album, if injustice is being thrown at you, you gotta get up and you need to rise against that injustice. Good song.
Gotta feed the babies now, yeah. So come on, brothers and sisters, it's the same path to walk. Come on, mothers and fathers, teach the babies to talk.
On Feed the Babies, we are graced once again by Gary Clark Jr.'s falsetto, but it's actually delivered even better on this track. It's a rough world out there, and you have to rise up against injustice, but part of that is also teaching the next generation to do even better. Feed the Babies is not about food. It's actually about feeding them the knowledge that they need to continue the cause. And I really dig that. From the title of the track, you might think it's a song about homelessness or poverty, but it's not, and I really dig Gary Clark Jr.'s ability to subvert expectations.
I remember when I left home in that pearl Cadillac. I was searching for some kind of way to pay you back.
So along with the first track, This Land, Pearl Cadillac was also performed on Saturday Night Live. Seriously, if you can find his performances on SNL, go watch them. They're really, really good. And this is an awesome song. It's essentially a thank you song to your parents. They've taken care of you for so long, but while you're driving away in your Pearl Cadillac to go and follow your own road, you're thanking them and letting them know that you're going to try to make them proud. This song brings us back to the southern rock and the blues, which is good because that's really where Gary Clark Jr. lives. And this track is likely one of the best on the entire album.
When I get home, I'm gonna hold you just a little bit closer until I'm gone.
So he's leaving and he said goodbye to his parents. But When I'm Gone is a song to his woman. He's got big dreams and he's got to get out there and follow them. But he's going to be back and he's going to show her so much love while he's gone and when he comes back. I think my favorite line in the song is, I'm gonna be your 4-letter man. Because obviously, yes, love is a 4-letter word, but I can think of another one that starts with an F that I think he was also meaning. Musically, this song sounds like it might have come out from the 50s or the 60s, but it's got a modern sensibility to it, which I really dig.
I'm standing on the corner with my heart in my hand. guitar man. Whether I'm standing on the corner with my heart in my hand, or everybody
Doubling down on the love theme from the last track, Gary Clark Jr. reaffirms his connection to his woman in this song. Yes, he's been out touring and partying, but he can't do any of it without her love. I really dig this song, and I think some of that comes from the cowbell that is hidden in the background. It's just loud enough to make the accent, but it's low enough to not overtake the song. The guitar man is obviously carried mostly by the guitar, and not surprisingly, he's pretty good at it.
fly like an eagle. Go be beautiful and free, girl, 'cause I'm better off on my own. Go save your soul. You don't
But of course, the road changes a man. It can take them over, it can make them less dependable, and lead them to make poor decisions. So this is Gary Clark Jr. essentially breaking up with his woman and saying, I've changed, I'm no good for you, you need to go out and forge your own path. It's a beautiful song, well constructed and arranged. It carries a lot of that old bluesy feel, but infuses a bit of rock into it as well. This one is one of my favorites on the album.
well, you can meet my brand new governor. He's the one that makes the law. If you meet him face to face, you gon' be the one that falls.
Now, I didn't get this song at first, and then when I went back and I listened to This Land again, there's a line where he refers to a gun as the governor. And when you know that, you listen to this song and it makes so much more sense. The governor reminds me of Childish Gambino's song Zombies, which is essentially saying if you're black and someone pulls a gun on you, then it's your fault if you get shot. Well, it's got a bluesy sound, which is always a little sad. The tempo and delivery of this song almost makes it sound like it's happy, which again makes me love it even more, because I love the juxtaposition of different themes to make you think.
That night between us, it keeps me up. I can't stop thinking about it. I tell her nothing's wrong. This can't go on. I'm done with all this.
So after having a brush with death, Gary Clark Jr. tries to win his woman back. He realizes really he should never have left her, and he needs her back. And he doesn't want to wait till tomorrow. It's actually a really amazing song, and he switches from his head to his falsetto voice throughout it. It has an epic quality to it that rises as the song goes on, and I think it really would have made a great album ender. The killer part of the song, strangely, is that kind of sound in the background. I have no clue why I love that so much.
My baby don't love me no more.
And the album ends with Gary Clark Jr. singing a good old classic blues song about losing his woman. Apparently, she did not take him back. She realized maybe she really is better off without him. It's well executed, it sounds a lot like B.B. King. And while Don't Wait Till Tomorrow might have been a more epic ending, this is closer to Gary Clark Jr.'s bluesy roots, so that actually makes it really awesome. Now, while Dirty Dishes Blues is the official ending of the album, we did get 2 bonus tracks with the version that I purchased. The first is Highway 71, which is an instrumental track. It's just Gary Clark Jr. with a pretty cool beat behind him, and he is playing his guitar. As Prince would say, he's making his guitar talk. Literally, his guitar is in place of any lyrics that might be there. It actually is really good.
You did that on purpose. You came in and dropped my jaw. You did that on purpose. The conversation was on par. You did.
The second bonus track is called Did Dat, and I can tell that it just didn't fit within the flow of the narrative of the album proper, which is why it ended up being a bonus track. A B-side, if you will. It's a song about being seduced by a woman without even knowing it. And then when you finally do get together with her, you realize, oh my god, you did that on purpose. It actually goes away from the blues and the southern rock and almost feels like a Prince song. There's some definite funk on there, and if you listen to that bass line, it's really darn good. I'm really happy that I got to hear this side of Gary Clark Jr., even if it did bring the CD to 17 tracks. Sheesh. So on my final thoughts, I'm a sucker for an album that tells a story, especially ones that illuminate issues with social justice and politics, but also in an overall artistic way. While this is Gary Clark Jr.'s third album, this is the first I've heard of him, but it definitely makes me want to go and seek more. I believe he's blown it out of the water with this album. I would give it 4.5 stars out of 5, because it's just that good. But what do you think of Gary Clark Jr.'s This Land? Let me know down in the comments. Also let me know which one of these songs was your favorite. Also don't forget to follow us on social media. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all at PrincessFriendYT. You can check out the Patreon at patreon.com/princessfriend. If you become a patron, you get your name on the Wall of Gratitude, and lots of extra bonus perks, such as blogs from me, blooper videos, and early access to some of our bigger videos. And if you've already liked this video and subscribed, I will bid you adieu. May you live to see the dawn. See you in the next video.